On the planet Vegeta, a child with his level of fighting completely null has been born, so he'd be considered low class. On that planet, he was not able to stay since the Saiyans were warriors who specialized in buying and selling planets. But for this elite, warriors were required, and a baby without any trace of energy would not serve for absolutely nothing. However, for his parents, it was a blessing, although the Saiyan named Bardock and Kakarot's father would realize that Frieza had a malicious plan.
Gine, we better send Kakarot towards planet Earth, since apparently Vegeta will be attacking Frieza. I can feel it.
What crazy things are you saying? We can't send Kakarot to another planet. He's just a baby, and being low class, he won't be able to defend himself.
If my hunch really fails, I'll personally go pick up Kakarot, since I don't want to leave him either. I want to train him to become more powerful, but we can't risk it. If Frieza plots something, I won't be able to defend him.
You know, Bardock, despite being a Saiyan who conquers planets, I can tell you're an excellent father. And it's okay, we'll do what you say.
That same night, Bardock was able to steal a ship in which they would send Kakarot to planet Earth, while Bardock and Gine watched their son's ship move away across the infinite space. On the other hand, while Kakarot would continue traveling at high speed, however, throughout Multiverse 7, beings in the form of balloons were in charge of uniting the demonic world with the outside world. And by a failure in Kakarot's ship, or rather the law of attraction, was able to absorb Kakarot, which, after the passage of several days all over the place, he was able to fall on the outskirts of a large castle. That's right, that place was divided into 3, which were known as the third, second, and first demon world. In the castle that Kakarot had fallen, it had been the first demon world, the most powerful among the 3. On the other hand, of the castle, a warrior would come out, realizing that a small baby from the outside world had fallen into the first demon world.
Wow, but if he's a being from the outside world, but how was he able to get into this place? That must be practically impossible because he has to get through the warp somehow.
The cries of the little boy would alert the police of the first demonic world, so Dessu would quickly take him with him. That's right, without anyone else knowing, he would begin to raise the little boy, because in that place the powerful Dabura reigned, which would not allow absolutely anything, and being the Demon King, he had the power to even end Kakarot's life if he wished. So Dessu, in one of the different alternate lines of his room, had been able to raise Kakarot. It had been several years since the arrival of Kakarot. However, at this time, the Demon King Dabura had disappeared, being summoned by a very powerful magician who was even able to put him to work for him. So at this time, he had decided on a new Demon King, being Goma, who would take his place, but his right hand was Dessu, so Kakarot from now on no longer needed to be hidden in Dessu's room.
I can finally meet the first demon world. This'll be a lot of fun. I've always wanted to fight with someone else.
No, Kakarot, no! Because if the villagers realize that you belong to the outside world, it doesn't matter that the big Goma protects you. A big revolution will be put together. Ha 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 ha! Don't worry, Dessu. Although I look like an evil being, I don't plan to let the children of this place get hurt. And since his birth, he has arrived here, so he is likely a baby of the demonic world.
Kakarot had gotten the permission to start exploiting the different worlds that existed in the demonic kingdom. On the other hand, on the outside, Bardock's feeling had been correct, since Frieza was able to destroy planet Earth. So after several years had passed, Kakarot's older brother Radits had gone also to planet Earth in order to ask them to join him, so that the conquest of planets becomes much easier. However, by the time he had reached planet Earth, he would realize how everything was destroyed in its wake.
Apparently the useless one from Kakarot after all has been able to conquer this planet. I'm surprised, but I'll have to recruit him.
Radits, with the help of his tracker, would go to where he perceived the most powerful energy on the whole planet, thinking that it was his brothers. But at the moment he arrived, he was surprised to realize that it was from an Namekian.
Apparently I've had too many expectations of Kakarot. But after all, he was not considerate or low class, so this capable Namekian that I ended his life. I don't know who you are talking about, but this very moment I'm thinking of finishing you. I thought I'd already finished with all the warriors on this planet.
Piccolo had thrown himself against Radits. However, each of his blows was not capable of doing the slightest damage to Radits. Piccolo had noticed this while he was trying to hurt him in the same way, being to fill an incredible panic. So Raditz, charging a little of his energy, was able to pulverize Piccolo.
That guy was nothing but a weakling. If Kakarot's defeated by that guy, it's better that he died, since he was with us wouldn't have been able to survive.
Raditz would rise to the atmosphere of the planet, and with a great attack he was able to destroy the entire planet in its entirety, leaving it where he was with his other companions were. On the other hand, returning to the demonic kingdom, Kakarot had been able to face several policemen, being considered someone from the outside world. However, every time Kakarot got into trouble, he always returned to his castle to hide, until one day Goma would speak publicly to the whole demonic kingdom.
Well, I've gotten tired of hiding it. 12 years ago, a ship from the outside world arrived at the palace. So defenseless child arrived, and we raised him between Dessu and me. If you have something to say it now, since you also have children.
A great silence had invaded the whole demonic kingdom. On the other hand, since that day, Kakarot was able to move around the whole kingdom without any problem. One day, Dessu, along with Kakarot, had left for some mountains in order to explore new areas. However, Kakarot would leave for a small store where he would buy a few treats. And when he returned, he would notice how Dessu was very badly injured, while next to him, a large minotaur was watching to Kakarot.
That Goma must be crazy to let a being from the outside world live among us. I can't allow that. At this moment, they will both die.
Kakarot, feeling an incredible anger, he would begin to expel an incredible power. Such was the power that this time the whole demonic kingdom would begin to tremble, while his hair would begin to turn a yellowish color. While rays came out of all his aura, at the moment of a great scream, Kakarot had transformed. And with a great anger, he had rushed against him, being able to knock him down without any difficulty. But at the moment of approaching towards Dessu, his body was expelling too much blood, for what Kakarot would quickly hold him, starting to fly towards the palace. Goma was surprised by the new appearance of Kakarot, but it was not the time, so instantly Goma would request the urgent presence of Arinisu. Instantly, a woman similar to Dessu would appear, but before saying at least one word, he would realize that his brother was on the verge of death.
I don't know what happened to you, but don't let yourself die.
Arinisu, being a great scientist in the whole demonic kingdom, was able to heal each of his wounds. Since apart from being a scientist, she was able to perform potions, so she was able to stabilize him. This time, he just needed a little rest more.
I really appreciate her, Nisu. If it wasn't for you, Dessu would have died.
Don't worry, Goma-sama. I'm here to serve you, but I'm not going to let my dear brother die.
At that moment, they would observe how Kakarot had golden hair, but the instant they were about to ask him something, Kakarot would fall to the ground out of combat, since his body wasn't able to withstand all that power. After several days had passed in which Dessu had woken up, would be informed of everything that had happened. While Kakarot was still knocked out of combat, while every part of his body began to couple to the new power that he had unlocked.
So Kakarot's able to unlock a new power by seeing me seriously injured. I can tell that Kakarot really sees me as his father. We have raised him since Kakarot's a baby. Of course you look like his father, and much more you since you are the one who rescued him. He only returned the favor. I hope Kakarot's ready to recover to continue exploring new places.
3 more days had already passed, quickly, in which Kakarot was able to wake up completely, being greeted by Dessu, just like Goma, but Goma would take a much more serious stance heading towards Kakarot.
I, as the king of the demonic world, I order you to train much more. And I'll get you warriors and beings of great powers, so that you'll be able to defeat them.
For me, that would be not an order, since what I like the most is to become much more powerful. I want to be the next most powerful Demon King.
In that case, we'll start with your new training from today.
Several soldiers had come to the combat area, in which Kakarot's abilities would be measured by both of his masters. But these warriors were extremely weak for Kakarot, since he was able to defeat them without any difficulty. However, what Kakarot did not have was that the warriors were elite soldiers from all over the demonic kingdom.
There's no doubt that we don't know which race he belongs to, but I'm sure Kakarot's origin is of an incredible warrior race, as he adapts in an incredible way. In that case, I have the perfect opponent for you, and for you to be able to become much more powerful and get even one wish at a time.
Goma was surprised since only he was able to understand the reference that Dessu had said.
Dessu, are you giving me to understand that you want Kakarot to face the Tamagami? That's crazy. No one's able to beat him.
What? What are Tamagami? That just makes me a lot more curious. I want to fight them.
Goma-sama, don't worry. I'm sure Kakarot won't die. Even he, the Tamagami, are forbidden to end the life of their opponents, as they're the only guardians of the Dragon Balls of the demonic world. I don't know, but I feel like it's a lousy idea. But if you know Kakarot's potential, that's fine. I'll trust you. But if something happens to Kakarot, I'm planning to finish you. The mighty Goma-sama's apparently worried about someone else. This is amazing. But don't worry, I'm sure of Kakarot's potential. I know you won't be able to beat him at first, but it'll be the most difficult training of the demonic kingdom. In that case, go! But start with the weakest Tamagami of all.
Both of them had left the first demonic world, so they are gone in the third demonic world, in which they are able to observe a metal warrior. Although they did not look very imposing, when Kakarot approached, he was able to create a giant sonic wave that was able to break Kakarot's eardrums, since some blood had come out of his ears.
This is the first opponent to teach Kakarot defeat, as he is able to beat every warrior we've put in front of him.
Kakarot, despite having received a little damage, without having started the combat, would prostrate himself in front of the Tamagami, who would immediately stare at him.
But if you're as simple a child, this will be much easier than I thought. I hope you'll help me to stretch my muscles.
Instantly, both warriors began to move all over the battlefield. Although the battle seemed a little even, the Tamagami was holding back too much. While, for his part, Kakarot was using every last drop of his energy. That's right, this time the difference in their powers was very evident, since Tamagami without any effort was able to keep up with Kakarot. While for his part, Kakarot in each exchange of blows, he was very badly injured.
You never thought that a single warrior is capable of punishing me so much. This is crazy. His blows hurt too much. You don't know I have this necessary power to stand up to me. You'd better come back next time. What did you say? I'm not there yet.
Before Kakarot was able to finish his sentence, a big hammer by his side was able to knock him out of combat. So Dessu would approach to leave for the castle, in which again they would wait for his recovery. Dessu would help Kakarot to return to the castle of the Great Demon King, so that he would be able to recover. So instantly, Dessu would leave to his king Goma, informing him of the whole situation with Kakarot. Kakarot's ego is very high. Despite being a child, he's been able to beat even the elite police of our kingdom, so I knew he wouldn't stand a chance against the Tamagami. But my lord, before Kakarot became unconscious, I was able to notice that his gaze this time radiated a desire for struggle that I'd never seen before. Before the two warriors are able to say anything, Arinisu, Dessu's sister, would approach all over the palace corridor, leaving both of them surprised. Arisinu, what are you doing here? I thought you were in your lab. Do I have to ask permission to go outside for some air? But it is interesting that the power of the little Kakarot has grown in such an exuberant way. What do you mean? You know something? So you better talk, because I'm not gonna repeat it to you one more time. You are correct, Goma-sama. I have been researching the origins of the little Kakarot, and the fact that he is able to have all these great reserves of energy is because he originates from one of the most powerful races of all the 12 universes, the Saiyans. Both were surprised to realize that the little boy they had in their castle was one of the most powerful warriors of all the 12 universes. However, these warriors did not know the existence of the 12 universes. I understand that there are universes in this outside world, but I didn't know the exact number. That's right, in the same way there is the king of everything, as well as the angels and gods, who are the rulers of the entire outer world. But despite everything, the race of the Saiyans is one of the most outstanding of the 12 universes, so for that reason, I want to ask you a favor. No way. With that look of yours, I already know what kind of favor you want. So you better leave, because I'm not going to let you experiment with Kakarot. Oh, Mr. Goma, don't be so boring. If little Kakarot, being a little boy, is so powerful, he can't imagine the power he would be able to get if I experiment with him.
No, sister. We'll never allow that. That would be cruel. It's true we're cruel, but we can't give Kakarot to you. We've known him since he was born.
I'm sure that child will be the downfall of the whole demonic kingdom, since his power seems to have no limit. Hopefully they won't regret this. Dessu would leave Goma Castle, so they'd both be a little thoughtful.
Dessu, do you think Kakarot will be able to turn against us? Dessu's words have left me questioning everything that happened. From my perspective, that would be impossible, my lord. Since on that occasion, Kakarot even released an incredible power that even that Minotaur almost ended my life. So I doubt that Kakarot will be able to destroy us.
It's okay, Dessu. I trust you, so go and stay in Kakarot's care.
As you order, my lord. With your permission, I withdraw.
Dessu would leave towards the room in which he had left Kakarot. However, upon entering, he would be surprised realizing how Kakarot was not in the place. Dessu, in panic, would ask all the police of the demonic world to locate Kakarot. So hundreds of soldiers would begin to move until they were able to have some clue about Kakarot. While for his part, Kakarot had been able to wake up, leaving to train in the second demonic world. In the Who had several acquaintances who had wished to improve the defense, Kakarot being the ideal warrior.
Oh, but if you're a little Kakarot, tell me what brings you here. This is the second demonic world. Do you want me to contact Goma?
Not at all. I'd like to have a confrontation with all your elite soldiers. I want to train, and I know that you want to reinforce your army.
Ho ho ho! This is indeed excellent news. Of course, if in that case, I'll organize the entire platform so you're able to have a worthy training.
After a few minutes, the platform was full of hundreds of warriors all over the place. So Kakarot, without any detour, would go down to face each of them, so instantly each of the warriors would throw themselves against Kakarot, who without the difficulty would be able to eliminate them one by one, which would leave the king of the second demonic world very surprised.
Wow! That's amazing, Kakarot. I'll be improving my defense a lot more, and I hope you keep visiting these worlds.
Of course, my king, and thank you very much for the hospitality. It's helped me a lot with these trainings. I'm leaving.
While Kakarot was walking around the place, he was very thoughtful, remembering his battle against the Tamagami.
It's time. I don't plan to stay with this defeat. Right now, I'm leaving to face that junk again.
Kakarot had headed towards the third demonic world with his great power, being able to arrive again in front of the Tamagami, so when he was able to face the Tamagami would recognize him immediately, knowing that he was the boy with whom he had fought 2 days ago.
What are you doing here again? Do you want to die this time? I'll have no mercy, since the last time when we were knocked out of combat, we had to end the combat. No, at this moment, I'm ready to beat you, so fight with me again. I want the Dragon Ball. In that case, get ready. I plan to finish you like the last time.
Instantly, the entire battlefield would become tense. At the moment, a small breeze of air was able to move a small leaf, so instantly the fight would begin. That's right, the incredible combat this time would be felt by the three demonic worlds. Even strong tremors would reach Gohan's place, which would realize one of the Tamagami had begun to fight.
Dessu, this is bad. Kakarot has apparently faced the demonic third world Tamagami again, so go ahead, don't let him die.
Dessu, without answering anything, would quickly leave, so when he arrived, he was surprised to realize that multiple people were watching the great battle. Dessu, when observing the battle, was surprised because on this occasion, the power of Kakarot had been able to increase in an incredible way, being able to start cornering the Tamagami, which at the moment would fall to the ground a little surprised.
What has he done? It's only been 2 days since our last match. He couldn't improve that much in that such short period of time.
The Tamagami, with his great mental power, was able to control his incredible hammer, being able to immobilize him to where Kakarot was, which instantly, with all his power, would try to repel him, but it was impossible. However, Kakarot was able to observe Dessu again, who was very worried about his well-being.
No, not this time! Dessu's watching me for the second time. I'm not gonna lose, so destroy your hammer!
Kakarot's hair would begin to turn a golden color, while the tremors became much more powerful throughout the demonic realms. Dessu was surprised to realize how Kakarot's power would begin to increase in an unreal way, just as his hair would begin to change to a shiny golden, similar to the last time he had saved his life in the Minotaurs.
Has Kakarot been able to master all that power? The power he exudes is incredible. Even I'm not able to comprehend it.
Kakarot's incredible aura would grow throughout the entire third demonic world, with which even his power would become much greater. So instantly, Kakarot would begin to move towards the Tamagami, resuming his great battle. However, on this occasion, Kakarot would begin to corner the Tamagami more and more, because his blows would increase more powerfully, being able to make the Tamagami eat dirt, which at this moment would take a little space, starting to carry an incredible attack.
In this attack, I put all my power, so you better have the necessary power to stop it. If that's your final attack, I have to respond in kind, so I plan to reciprocate your attack in kind with a powerful attack of mine.
Kakarot would begin to gather energy in the palm of his hands, techniques that Dessu had learned in the outside world, teaching it to Kakarot later, so both warriors began to channel all their maximum energy into their attack. Instantly, their attacks were charged to the max. Both warriors had been able to throw their attacks. The clash of powers was incredible, so much that hundreds of rays were scattered all over the battlefield. However, a powerful barrier of the two remaining Tamagami would be able to protect everyone present.
I don't plan to lose to a simple child. This is my maximum power.
The Tamagami would expel all his power. However, Kakarot would not be left behind, starting to inject more and more energy towards his attack, both powers being colliding for about 3 minutes. Kakarot, furious, would increase his power much more, even compromising several of his bones, which were destroyed by the excess energy. But he was able to win the energy shock, so the Tamagami would be dragged down a few mountains. However, the Tamagami with his maximum effort was able to throw that great attack towards the heaven. But Kakarot, without wasting the opportunity, was able to connect an incredible blow in the stomach of the Tamagami, which on this occasion would make him fall to the ground very badly injured. Kakarot would take distance, putting himself in a battle pose.
What do you think of that? Can't you go on anymore? This is incredible. Even I'm not able to believe it. But if I give up, I can realize that I'm not able to defeat you. Your power this time exceeds mine.
Kakarot would return to his base state a little confused.
This means that I've been able to defeat one of the 3 most powerful warriors of the demonic kingdom. And I have to be able to win the Dragon Ball. You are right. You've been able to beat me, but there is still one last test for you to be able to win the Dragon Ball.
The Tamagami would create a small table in which he was able to hide the sphere in 3 glasses. Kakarot had to guess in which one it was. However, the Tamagami with a great speed would move them, and at the moment he would ask,
"Where is the sphere located?"
Kakarot would point to the side, which was where the Tamagami had hidden the sphere.
You really are an extremely weird kid, but this time you have completely defeated me, so the sphere is completely yours. Thank you very much, and sorry for all the words I've had to say to you. Only anger's blinded me. I ask for an apology. Don't worry. You likewise excuse me. I don't know where we're so powerful.
Kakarot, along with Dessu, would leave for the castle for the first demonic kingdom. At the moment of arriving, Gomu was very upset by Kakarot's imprudence.
You can't do something like that. If you haven't been able to master all that power, you wouldn't have been able to do anything against Tamagami. But I congratulate you, Kakarot.
I'm sorry, but I wish to be able to turn to the Dragon Balls, so that we'll be able to fulfill our wish.
Yes, Kakarot, we trust you, but it'll be better that you rest for now, and that you're able to master all that power completely, since you're only able to use it in critical moments, and therefore the energy drain is incredible.
I understand, Dessu. Don't worry, it won't happen again. I promise that I'll be able to become much more powerful, and that I'll master all this power.
Kakarot would leave for part of the castle to continue with his great training. Meanwhile, Dessu was in the house of a powerful witch, which had been able to create a powerful warrior, which had even been able to cause a little battle to the so-called gods of destruction.
I know better than anyone that you are the creator of the powerful demon named Majin Buu. So I ask you, help me create an equally powerful demon. You are right. I've been the creator, but I didn't want to get into trouble. That's why I've kept my identity secret, although I don't know how you've been able to find out.
Like you, I'm also a scientist, but I don't have many of your qualities. For the same reason, I turn to your help.
Okay, I'll help you create the new Majin Buu.
both scientists began with their plans to create a new warrior, which is equally powerful to even be able to defeat Goma. On the other hand, the Demon King Goma was in search of the legendary Third Eye, which was in the regulation for which the Demon Kings, but several centuries ago, had been lost. The Third Eye was able to grant its bearer an incredible power.
I've been able to find the demonic Third Eye. I feel that something very dangerous is about to happen. We must become much more powerful.
While Kakarot, on the other hand, was training, unaware of the danger that was approaching the entire demonic kingdom. In the demonic world, a great revolution would begin to take place on the part of Arinisu, because she wanted to be the queen of all the demonic worlds. But no one had ever been able to defeat any Tamagami. For that very reason, she knew that she had no choice but to face Kakarot. If we have to create a new Majin Buu, we will do it, as we cannot allow a being from the outside to become the new Demon King.
I understand how you feel, but in the same way, creating a Majin Buu is extremely complex, and I cannot guarantee that I'll obey you in everything.
Don't worry, we'll see how we train him. But for the time being, please create a new Majin Buu. I trust you. I don't know why you want a new Majin Buu, but it's okay, we'll start right now. So please, accompany me both to the outside. Both had gone to the outside, in which that powerful witch would begin to create the powerful Majin Buu. So after a few minutes, a large mass of energy would grow all over the place, so it would immediately begin to condense. But to everyone's surprise, he was a warrior, which at first glance seemed to have a great fighting ability, because his build was thin, having great flexibility. Wow, this is amazing! This is my own Majin Buu, and the first mission I'm going to give you is to be able to beat that #1 Tamagami.
Hey, no, that's too fast. We have to put its skills to the first test, as a Tamagami is very powerful.
No, the original Majin Buu would be able to defeat the Tamagami in one fell swoop, if he was even able to put warriors at the level of a god of destruction in trouble. The new Majin Buu had headed towards the platform where the Tamagami #1 was, so he would instantly challenge him to a fight which the Tamagami would accept, while Arinisu was a spectator, thinking that his Majin Buu would take the victory. Meanwhile, Kakarot had been able to become much more powerful, being able to even reach the level 2 of the Super Saiyan, with which his aura was able to radiate multiple rays of energy.
Wow, this power I got's amazing! I'm sure with this new power I'll be able to beat the 2 remaining Tamagami.
Kakarot would start walking all over the castle in search of Dessu, but it would be impossible for him to find him, so he would instantly bump into Goma.
Goma, can you please tell me where Dessu is? I've been looking since morning and I'm not able to find him, much less feel his energy.
That's because Dessu has been going through every demon world in search of the demon's third eye. So don't worry, he'll be late. But tell me, how can I help you, my little Kakarot?
Wow! Is that the demonic third eye?
I can tell you're very curious. I'll explain. The third demonic eye is due to the power of that Demon King is able to achieve. But hundreds of years ago, the third eye was stolen, so it's not possible to use that incredible power again.
Wow, I really didn't know that. That means that if you're able to get a hold of the demonic third eye, you'll be able to release much more of its destructive power.
You're right, Kakarot.
That only gives me one more motivation to become more powerful. I want to be equal to much more power than you, Goma-sama.
Kakarot would leave with great enthusiasm to fight with Tamagami #2, while Goma would stare at him and gaze his represented the prize he had with Kakarot.
My little Kakarot, your power surpassed all of us in the 3 demonic worlds. If you want to rule all this, it wouldn't be complicated for you.
On the other hand, with the Battle of Majin Buu and the Tamagami #1, this incredible would start. However, although the speed of Majin Buu was good, his blows were extremely weak, since they weren't able to arise any effect against the Tamagami #1. And this was also because he was the most powerful Tamagami of all. Arinisu was a little surprised. She did not know that the Tamagami would be so powerful, or that her Majin Buu had been created with an extremely low. After a few minutes in which the Tamagami would start to have the advantage, Majin Buu would give up. For his part, Kakarot had been able to reach the island where the Tamagami number 2 was located.
Wow, you look much more powerful than the previous Tamagami. This will be interesting.
But if you're a kid, you better leave if you don't want to die.
That's what Tamagami number 3 told me, and he's been defeated. I was even able to get his Dragon Ball.
I doubt very much what you're telling me, since it is impossible for a simple child like you to be able to beat one of us. But I'll check it right now.
The Tamagami would try to communicate mentally with the Tamagami number 3, being useless since, despite still being alive, his communication was given through the Dragon Sphere.
Someone has really been able to beat him, but I can't believe that he was defeated by a simple child. In that case, I don't plan to trust you.
The Tamagami would get into a battle pose just like Kakarot. Since he did not want to use the Super Saiyan, he tried to defeat it simply with his base strength. At the moment, both warriors began to fight all over the Demon World number 3, so their battle would spread even throughout the sea of that world. However, with the power that Kakarot possessed at that time, it was extremely impossible for him to try to defeat the Tamagami number 2. So Kakarot would realize that his blows did not arise any effective. While the Tamagami would start to break through his defense much more often, Kakarot would be sent crashing to the ground, being dragged by a few mountains.
That hurt a little. Apparently with my base power, I'm not able to do anything against you. What do you think about this?
Instantly, Kakarot's hair would rise a little, while a few lightning bolts would scatter around his body. At the moment of a great scream, Kakarot was able to access the Super Saiyan, leaving his opponent surprised as his power had multiplied dozens of times.
This warrior was really able to beat the number 3 Tamagami, but with me it'll be totally different, of that I'm sure.
The Tamagami would take the battle much more seriously, but the difference in power was incredible, because Kakarot had been able to train this transformation all this time. So the energy drain had almost completely disappeared. Kakarot would begin to give him a beating, the Tamagami, which would try to do something against him, but it was completely impossible, since his power surpassed him by a lot. However, this furious Tamagami would expel the power of the Dragon Sphere, being able to get much more overwhelming, which forced Kakarot to step back a little.
I've never used this power before, so I hope you're ready, because in this form I'm not able to contain myself, and I can end your life with one blow.
That's what I'm waiting for. Come, I'm waiting for you.
The Tamagami would throw himself against Kakarot, but to his surprise, Kakarot was able to stop his great spear with one of his hands. However, several drops of blood would begin to slip down the spear, hinting that it would start to cost Kakarot a little. Instantly, their battle would resume quickly, in which they seemed to be much more even. But it was only momentary because on this occasion, the Tamagami was using all his power, while Kakarot, still there, was one more transformation left. The Tamagami would take advantage of an opening in Kakarot's defense, so with an incredible blow, he was able to send it flying, being able to create great chaos throughout the demonic world, just as mountains turned into simple dust and everything in its path was destroyed.
Damn, I hope that warrior was able to withstand that blow, as he really didn't want to end his life. He's a splendid warrior.
But out of all the incredible mess that had been created, a great light would start rising all over the place. Just like a great lightning would rise towards the top of the entire demon world, that's right, Kakarot had decided to access the Super Saiyan Phase 2.
You're amazing! I never thought that I would use my most powerful transformation to be able to face you, but now the real battle begins.
Do you still hide a lot more power? This will be a worthy battle.
Both immediately disappeared from the place, so both began to exchange hundreds of blows at a high speed. However, every time the Tamagami blocked Kakarot's blows, his arms were trembling due to the power that Kakarot was able to release. Instantly, the Tamagami would be thrown to the ground, while Kakarot would throw a powerful attack against Tamagami.
This is my last chance. I have to be able to dodge him and hit him with my minimum power to knock him out.
At the moment that the attack was a few centimeters from colliding with it, he was able to move at a flashing speed, appearing to one side of Kakarot. But at the moment that he would try to hit him, he was surprised, because Kakarot was able to stop his blow with only one of his hands.
I was able to see through your attack, so I knew he would try to hit me from my blind spot. But this time to end this.
The Tamagami, before being able to react, he had received an incredible blow to the stomach by Kakarot, which on this occasion was even able to knock him out of combat with a single blow.
Well, apparently I haven't been able to regulate my strength. It'd be better to take the Dragon Ball and leave towards the first demonic world.
Kakarot would take the Dragon Ball, but before leaving, he would start visiting the king of the second demonic world. For his part, Arinsu would arrive again with the witch, since this time the Majin Buu they created was completely useless. The powerful Majin Buu was said to be able to cause chaos and terror in all the 12 universes, but this useless one hasn't been able to even defeat a Tamagami.
I warned you that he was a very powerful warrior to be his first combat, but at this moment we believe in the Majin Buu, and we will use much more energy to make him more powerful.
It seems perfect to me. This Majin Buu has to be the perfect one, because otherwise I'll get angry. The Great Sorceress would start again with the formation of a new Majin Buu, but this time the amount of negative energy she was using was outrageous. So at the moment, a large mass of much larger energy would be formed, but instantly it would condense. It left everyone surprised because by its appearance, it seemed that it would be completely useless. That's right, the build of this Majin Buu seemed to not have the flexibility in combat that was needed. But at the moment that he expelled a little of his power, he was able to destroy everything in his step. It was not what I expected, but the destructive power he possesses is extremely incredible.
I hope this one works for you, because now with all the materials I had of the creation of the Majin Buus, I have been completely exhausted.
Yeah, don't worry, I am sure that we'll be able to do something. Arinsu would once again march towards the Tamagami number 1, giving him the order to fight against it. So the new Majin Buu would begin to approach the Tamagami, while the Tamagami would stare at him. I can't believe that this warrior is a warrior. I will defeat him with one blow. The Tamagami, with a quick movement, would prostrate himself in front of Majin Buu, but to the surprise of everything, he was able to dodge his blow with a quick movement. I was able to send him flying with a big headbutt. Wow, what was that? He was able to manage to hit the Tamagami? With the battle going on, Dessu was able to locate the demonic's third eye on an inhospitable planet of all the demonic worlds. So at the moment, he would quickly return to his king, but he was surprised to realize how his sister was with a warrior who was able to give battle to a Tamagami. This is bad. I'm sure Risu is able to look at all the power of the Dragon Balls to become the new queen of the demonic kingdom. Dessu would quickly return to Goma, giving him the demonic third eye. But while Goma was happy, Dessu would inform him everything that was happening. So instantly, Goma would give the order to close the connections between all the worlds. However, when Kakarot would try to return, it was impossible for him, since a powerful current was able to almost end his life. While for his part, Majin Buu was able to defeat the number 1 Tamagami, making Arinsu with the Dragon Ball, while Goma, upon realizing this, he will use his demonic third eye, beginning to raise his power in a monstrous way. After the terrifying moment that the Z Warriors had experienced, Goku and Vegeta realized that Beerus and Whis were not on Earth. They had disappeared just moments before the shadow creatures appeared on Earth. This is because Daishinkan discovered that Zeno-sama had been killed by his father and immediately summoned all the angels and gods of destruction. In the majestic realm of all, Daishinkan, the High Priest, summoned all the angels and gods of destruction of the existing universes. The atmosphere in the hall was unusually tense, and concern was reflected in the faces of those present. Daishinkan, with his usual calmness, prepared to share the disturbing truth he had discovered.
Angels and gods of destruction, the time has come to face a powerful truth. Zeno-sama, our beloved king of all, has been slain.
Silence fell over the hall. The angels and the gods of destruction exchanged looks of disbelief and dismay. No one expected that such a tragedy could occur, especially at the hands of someone so powerful.
My investigation revealed that the one responsible for this abominable act was Zeno-sama's own father.
The news resounded like a somber echo in the room. Everyone present processed the shocking revelation. The omnipresent figure of Zeno-sama, the supreme deity, had been shattered by his own protagonist. Mohito, Sidra's angel, spoke in a worried voice. How is it possible that a being as powerful as Zeno-sama's father could have committed such an act?
That is a question for which I still have no answers. But now we must face the consequences of this event. The stability of the multiverse is in danger.
Arak, the god of destruction of Quitella, asked,
"And what measures will we take in the face of this threat? What'll happen to the throne of Zeno-sama?"
That is a question we must discuss and resolve. For now, the throne remains empty, and our duty is to maintain peace and balance. But before we make hasty decisions, we need to fully understand the magnitude of this situation.
Beerus and Whis prepared to inform the gods of destruction and angels of all universes about what they had witnessed while on planet Earth with Goku and Vegeta. The hall of the realm of everything was filled with celestial beings, each one expectant and worried about the news they were about to receive.
Attention everyone! We have crucial information to share about the events that have been unfolded.
Before we are summoned here, the father of Zeno-sama appeared on all the planets of the multiverse. Surprise was reflected on the faces of those present. Murmurs and whispers filled the room, as the gods of destruction and angels exchanged looks of disbelief. His visit was not simply to report the death of Zeno-sama. He announced the holding of the tournament that would determine the survival of the planets in each universe. Additional rumors filled the room, creating a constant buzz of concern. The gods of destruction and angels wanted to understand the implications of such an announcement.
He informed the rules of the tournament and the intentions behind such a competition, but it's necessary that we all work together to get answers and face this threat. It is time to join forces and overcome this crisis. The fate of our universes is at stake.
As the gods and angels absorbed the gravity of the situation, in every corner of the hall of the realm of everything, conversations and plans were brewing to confront the mysterious tournament that threatened to upset the balance of the multiverse. Uncertainty hung in the air, but the determination of the divine beings was determined to face the unknown that lay ahead. In the Hall of Everything, Daishinkan, the High Priest, sensed the imminent arrival of extremely powerful entities heading for the different planets of the multiverse. His face reflected seriousness as he prepared to inform all the angels and gods of destruction present of the coming threat.
Gods and angels of destruction, the time has come to face a new and challenging threat. Entities of great power are headed towards the planets of our universes, and their goal seems to be a direct confrontation with the strongest warriors of each world.
The expressions of those present became serious. Aware of the gravity of the situation, Daishinkan continued with determination.
It's crucial that we move quickly to protect the strongest warriors of each planet, regardless of which universe they belong to. The threat we face does not respect universal boundaries, and we must act with unity to preserve the balance.
Vados, the Angel of Champa, raised his hand.
"How do you plan for us to move, Daishinkan? We each have responsibilities in our universes."
I understand the complexity of this situation, but the magnitude of this threat requires immediate action. I suggest that every angel and god of destruction move to the planets threatened by this unknown force. We must prevent the strongest warriors from being defeated before we can fully understand our enemies.
Sounds like a sensible plan, Daishinkan. If we all work together, we can protect our warriors and gain more information about these powerful entities. Each angel and god of destruction nodded in agreement, accepting the need to act immediately. They moved quickly to the various planets, casting aside universal barriers in a joint effort to safeguard the multiverse.
May the wisdom and power of each of you guide this effort. Let us not underestimate this new threat. Our duty is to protect the existence of our universes.
With those words, the angels and gods of destruction dispersed, leaving the Hall of All in preparation to face a challenge that transcended universal boundaries and demanded the collaboration of all divine beings. Uncertainty hung in the air, but determination to preserve the balance of the multiverse guided the powerful beings in their joint mission. The angels and gods of destruction quickly teleported to the threatened planets, each determined to protect the strongest warriors on the various planets. In the blink of an eye, the skies lit up with flashes of divine energy as Awamo and Ewin, Cognac and Quitella, Matanu and Geen, Whis and Beerus, and the other angels and gods of destruction headed toward their assigned destinations. the planet Thraxis Nocturn lay peaceful in the corner of the cosmos, its nocturnal luminosity radiating a tranquility that was about to be disturbed. In the vast space, Awamo, the angel, with his small book in hand, and his god of destruction Ewin, an imposing figure with a stern gaze, detected the arrival of a shadow creature, a minion of Zeno-sama's father. The creature, shrouded in malevolent darkness, descended with malevolent determination towards Thraxis Nocturn. Ewin, without hesitation, deployed his energy of destruction while Awamo stood by, hoping to resolve the conflict without a bath of chaos. "Creature, your darkness will not be tolerated in this realm. Stop your destructive plans." The shadow creature emanated a guttural growl, its presence emanating an unnatural energy that distorted the space around it. The space battle began with an explosion of opposing forces. Ewin launched destructive beams, while Awamo used his speed to dodge the attacks and assess the situation. "Ewin, this creature's stronger than we imagined. We must be cautious." "I know, Awamo, but we can't let him destroy Thraxis Nocturn. We must give our best." The shadow creature, agile and evasive, responded to the attacks with dark energy waves that distorted space. The battle spread across the firmament, leaving traces of destructive energy in its wake. Ewin tried to anticipate the creature's movements. However, the shadow creature proved to be agile and adaptive, countering every strategy with an unmatched dark force. "Our conventional methods don't work. Ewin, we need to combine our forces." "I agree, Awamo. It's time to show them the true power of destruction." Awamo and Ewin merged their energies, creating a flash of light that defied the surrounding darkness. The shadow creature, perceiving the threat, intensified its own energy, generating a collision of cosmic forces that shook space itself. The battle reached a fever pitch, with cosmic explosions lighting up the scene as Awamo and Ewin struggled to contain the darkness. This struggle took place not only on the physical plane, but also on the spiritual one, where the will to protect Thraxis Nocturn was pitted against the ruthless ambition of the shadow creature. The fusion of Awamo and Ewin unleashed a dazzling energy that eclipsed even the nocturnal luminosity of Thraxis Nocturn. The gold and violet glow enveloped the divine couple as they prepared to face the dark threat looming over the peaceful planet. "It's time to show the true extent of our power, Awamo." The shadow creature, aware of the growing threat, rushed towards them with supernatural speed. Awamo, with his keen perception, anticipated every movement of the creature, allowing the couple to dodge its onslaughts with heavenly elegance. "Keep calm, Ewin. We must synchronize our movements to counteract their darkness." Ewin nodded and unleashed a series of destructive energy blasts that lit up the space around him. However, the shadow creature responded with amazing agility, dodging every attack with meandering movements. The battle became a cosmic game of strategy and speed. The angel Awamo and the god of destruction Ewin soon realized that in order to defeat this entity, they would need a coordinated attack that transcended the limits of their individual abilities. In a moment of perfect timing, they unleashed a gale of combined energy. Awamo channeled the energy of destruction while Ewin released violet flashes of destruction. "Focus your energy, Awamo. Let's get rid of this darkness once and for all." Awamo nodded and joined the attack with determination. The fused energy of both angel and god turned into a spear of golden and violet light that pierced through space with an impressive speed. The shadow creature, caught in the torrent of power, let out a heart-rending howl as it was enveloped by the luminosity. The impact was abysmal, generating an expansive wave that shook the cosmos. The darkness that enveloped the creature began to dissipate, revealing its twisted and weakened form. Awamo and Ewin, exhausted but triumphant, stood on guard ready for any eventuality. "We have managed to contain their darkness, but we can't let our guard down." The shadow creature, now visibly weakened, recoiled before the imposing presence of Awamo and Ewin. The light had prevailed over the darkness in the cosmic corner of Thraxis Nocturn. The divine couple remained firm in their duty to protect the planet that this creature wanted to destroy. However, the battle was not yet over, and the fates of the planets remained uncertain in the vastness of space. After the shocked combined attack of Awamo and Ewin, the space around Thraxis Nocturn was vibrating with the residual energy of the cosmic battle. The shadow creature, apparently weakened, remained suspended in the cosmic void, enveloped in a dark glow that seemed to absorb the surrounding light. The divine couple watched cautiously, aware that the fate of Thraxis Nocturne was still hung in the cosmic balance.
Ewin, something's not right. The darkness of that creature seems to be getting stronger instead of weaker. It seems that our attack has absorbed by her, but it shouldn't be possible. How can he transform our energy of destruction to his own power?
The shadow creature, now surrounded by a more intense aura, began to change its shape. Its twisted figure became more defined. His eyes shone with a malevolent lucidity. The darkness emanating from her was becoming denser, distorting the space around her.
You have underestimated my true potential, angel and god of destruction. Your energy has strengthened me beyond your comprehension.
The divine couple prepared for what was to come next, aware that the threat they faced had evolved. The shadow creature, now empowered by the absorbed energy, charged towards them with renewed speed and ferocity.
We need to be more cautious, Ewin. It seems that every blow we inflict makes her stronger.
Understood, Awamo, but we can't allow this darkness to devour Thraxis Nocturne.
The battle resumed with increased intensity. The shadow creature attacked with bursts of dark energy that cut through space, while Awamo and Ewin responded with flashes of golden and violet light. The cosmic dance of lights and shadows painted an epic picture in the vastness of the universe. Each blow and backlash echoed like thunder in space, distorting reality itself. Awamo, with his keen perception, tried to anticipate the movements of the dark creature, but the dark entity proved to be unpredictable. Ewin, with his energy of destruction, sought to weaken the creature, but his attacks seemed to be absorbed and turned into an additional source of power.
Every time we hit her, her power increases. We can't go on like this.
We must find a way to counteract his ability to absorb our energy. Do you have any ideas, Awamo?
Awamo pondered for a moment, his angelic mind working in search of a solution. Meanwhile, the shadow creature, aware of its opponent's confusion, took the opportunity to launch a surprise attack. A wave of dark energy enveloped Awamo and Ewin, distorting their perception and weakening their defenses.
Ha 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 ha! Your resistance is useless. I am the embodiment of darkness. His light cannot prevail before me.
The situation was becoming more and more desperate for the divine couple as they struggled to resist the shadow creature's attacks. Awamo turned his attention to the small book he always carried with him. An idea began to form in his mind.
Ewin, I think I have an idea, but we need to synchronize our attacks in a different way.
Explain yourself, Awamo.
Awamo explained his plan to Ewin, who nodded in understanding. Both God and Angel prepared to put their strategy into practice. The shadow creature, confident in its superiority, launched into the attack again, but this time Awamo and Ewin were ready to respond differently.
Now, Ewin, combine your energy of destruction with mine in a more controlled way.
Ewin nodded and channeled his energy to Awamo, who, in turn, merged it with his. Instead of launching a direct attack, they created a sphere of combined light and energy that floated between them.
Do you think this tactic will change the outcome? We'll see.
The energy sphere began to slowly expand, emanating a glowing light that contrasted the surrounding darkness. The shadow creature, curious but confident, watched the development with disdain.
The fused power is not only destructive, but it also has properties that counteract its absorption capacity.
The combined energy sphere, now reaching its maximum expansion, released a wave of light and energy that enveloped the shadow creature. This time, instead of absorbing the power, the darkness that characterized her began to dissipate.
What is this? My power should not be weakened. We create an energy that goes beyond destruction and creation, one that neutralizes the darkness that you're trying to absorb.
The shadow creature, weakened by Awamo and Ewin's strategic counterattack, retreated as the combined energy sphere continued to exert its effect. The light emanating from the sphere began to purify the darkness surrounding the entity, revealing its original form before corruption.
It seems our tactic's working, but we must make sure we contain it completely.
We can't let our guard down. Let's continue with the strategy until the creature's completely neutralized.
The space battle continued, but this time Awamo and Ewin had the upper hand. His sphere of combined energy continued to exert its purifying effect, dispelling the darkness that threatened Thraxis Nocturn. With each passing moment, the shadow creature grew weaker. The light of hope began to shine in the corner of the cosmos that was once on the verge of destruction. The shadow creature, weakened by Awamo and Ewin's strategy, retreated into space, its distorted form twisting as the combined energy sphere continued to purify the darkness that enveloped it. In a desperate attempt to regain his strength, the shadow creature began to explore its surroundings, looking for an opportunity to turn the situation in his favor.
My power is weakened here. I need to find a place where darkness prevails.
While exploring, the shadow creature noticed something that favored him. His eyes flashed with malevolent anticipation as he discovered that this world was called Thraxis Nocturn because it was a planet plunged into shadows. The dark entity smiled malevolently as he realized that this planet could provide the darkness needed to revitalize his power.
Ha 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 ha! Thraxis Nocturn, a feast of darkness awaits me!
With amazing speed, the shadow creature launched itself towards the planet, traversing space with great speed. Awamo and Ewin, aware of his intentions, followed closely, determined to stop any attempt by the shadow creature to plunge into the darkness of the planet. As the creature approached Thraxis Nocturn, the darkness of the planet seemed to intensify, as if responding to its presence. The planet's nighttime atmosphere shone with a faint luminosity, offering a fascinating contrast to the surrounding stars.
Ewin, we must prevent the creature from being filled with dark power. If she succeeds, it'll be even more difficult to stop her.
Understood, Awamo. We'll not allow the darkness of this planet to fall into the hands of that entity. The shadow creature descended on Thraxis Nocturn with a terrifying impetus. As she approached, the darkness seemed to take her in, enveloping her with a gloomy welcome. The shadow creature began to absorb the darkness of the planet, its twisted form vibrating with a new energy as it filled with the essence of Thraxis Nocturn.
Ha 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 ha! Yes, this darkness will strengthen me. Nothing can stop me now.
Awamo and Ewin, wasting no time, headed towards the shadow creature, determined to stop its advance before it became unstoppable. The battle in the shadows of Thraxis Nocturn was about to take a very drastic turn.
We cannot allow this darkness to completely corrupt this creature. We must stop her before she becomes invincible.
Your previous strategy was effective, Awamo. Let's keep working together to counter his power. Deep in the shadows of Thraxis Nocturn, the intense presence of the absorbing shadow creature did not go unnoticed by the most powerful warriors on the planet. Turles, Bardock, Radits, Frieza, and his brother Cooler felt the darkness increasing around them and, with a mixture of amazement and concern, headed toward the epicenter of the threat.
Something's not right. The darkness in this place is getting denser.
Whatever it is, we cannot let it threaten Thraxis Nocturn. Let's investigate.
The warriors moved nimbly across the gloomy terrain, advancing towards the source of the darkness. As they got closer, the atmosphere became heavier, as if the shadow itself wanted to resist their advance.
The darkness is different. I feel a strange pressure. I'm not afraid of the dark, but this is unusual. Cooler, stay alert.
Understood, Frieza. Let's find out what's going on.
Suddenly, a wave of dark energy erupted before them, revealing the shadow creature that was absorbing the darkness of the planet. His twisted figure and malevolent aura were as evident as the threat he posed to Thraxis Nocturn.
Warriors of this planet, his darkness feeds me. Soon I will be unstoppable.
We won't let you destroy Thraxis Nocturn. Get ready, creature.
The warriors went on the attack, each unleashing their unique power against the dark entity. Turles unleashed his evil aura, releasing bursts of destructive energy. Bardock channeled his Saiyan fury into powerful blows, while Raditz and Cooler coordinated their attacks to create a symphony of destruction. Frieza intensifying the struggle.
This creature doesn't know who he's up against.
Your resistance is useless. Each blow only increases my power.
The shadow creature powered by the darkness of Thraxis Nocturne, absorbed attacks with defiant ease. Each impact seemed to strengthen rather than weaken it, plunging the warriors into the disturbing reality that they were facing an enemy that fed on its own darkness.
It's not working. He's getting stronger and stronger.
We need to change our strategy. We can't let it absorb all the darkness on the planet.
While the warriors struggled to find an effective strategy, the shadow creature, with its distorted laughter, continued to absorb the darkness, becoming more and more powerful. The Battle of Thraxis Nocturne's survival was at its most critical, and the warriors knew that they had to find a solution before the dark entity became invincible. The dark aura released by the shadow creature enveloped the warriors of Thraxis Nocturne, gradually weakening them. The warriors struggled to stay on their feet as the entity's malevolent energy infiltrated their bodies, obscuring their vital forces.
This is it. Too much.
I can't let that defeat us like this.
The warriors, despite their bravery, were overcome by the darkness emanating from the aura of the shadow creature. At that critical moment, when hope seemed to be fading, a heavenly light pierced the shadows. Awamo and Ewin, the angels charged with protecting Thraxis Nocturne, arrived on the battlefield.
The darkness emanating from this creature is breathtaking. We cannot allow it to take over this planet. Time to show these warriors how to fight true darkness.
The angel spread his wings, and together with the god of destruction, they advanced towards the shadow creature, his presence radiating a luminosity that defied the malevolent nature of the dark aura. As it approached, the dark entities sensed the arrival of divine beings and turned to face the new threat.
More insignificant beings. His light will be devoured by my darkness. Don't underestimate the power of light. Darkness cannot resist the true essence of creation.
Awamo extended his hand, and a purifying light enveloped the battlefield, counteracting the dark effect of the creature's aura. Ewin, on the other hand, deployed the energy of destruction, creating a perfect balance between light and darkness. The shadow creature, for the first time, felt the pressure of forces that it could not easily absorb or resist. The conflict took a turn, and the battle became more intense as the angel and god of destruction faced the dark entity with the unique combination of light and destruction.
The real struggle starts now. We'll protect Thraxis Nocturne from the darkness you represent.
The fight between the angels and the shadow creature reached impressive levels, with bursts of energy illuminating the dark planet of Thraxis Nocturne. Meanwhile, the warriors, freed from the debilitating effects of the dark aura, watched the fight, hoping that their planet would not be destroyed. In the dark skies of Thraxis Nocturne, the stage was transformed into a cosmic battlefield, where divine light and malevolent darkness collided in an epic confrontation. Awamo and Ewin, the guardians of this planet, displayed their celestial power with a grace and precision that defied description. The glow of the purifying light emanating from Ewin and Awamo spread across the space, illuminating the shadows that the shadow creature was trying to grasp. Ewin and Awamo's every move was a ballet of divine energy, as they gracefully dodged the dark attacks encountered with unstoppable force. Awamo's wings shone with a resplendent light, like stars in the night, as he invoked the very essence of creation to repel the dark forces rising up against him. By his side, Ewin radiated an imposing presence, with his penetrating gaze fixed on the creature as it defying the darkness itself. The shadow creature, on the other hand, was fighting with an impressive ferocity, trying to resist the overwhelming power of Ewin and Awamo. Their dark attacks were launched like ravenous shadows, seeking to consume the divine light that surrounded them. However, every attack was countered by the impenetrable force of Ewin and Awamo, who remained firm in their purpose to protect the planet. The clash between light and darkness created a symphony of cosmic energy, with flashes of light and bursts of energy illuminating the firmament. The light will always prevail over the darkness. Your power is formidable, but it cannot resist the purity of creation.
You can't stop me. I'm the very embodiment of darkness.
Darkness can be powerful, but the real strength lies in balance, and we represent that balance. Ewin and Awamo continued to deploy their energy with amazing precision, creating light barriers that repelled the attacks of the shadow creature. Every movement of Ewin and Awamo was imbued with a divine elegance and grace, while the creature struggled with a desperate ferocity. Our mission is to protect the harmony of the universe, and that includes protecting this planet from your darkness.
You can't stop me. I'm inevitable.
The shadow creature launched waves of dark energy, but Ewin and Awamo easily repelled them, maintaining an opposing presence in the midst of battle. Every blow of Ewin and Awamo resonated with the force of creation, while the creature struggled more and more desperately.
The darkness can be a challenge, but our determination's unwavering. We'll not let you destroy this planet.
Your power may be formidable, but it cannot equal the eternal light of the universe.
The battle continued with Ewin and Awamo and the shadow creature facing off in an epic clash between light and dark. In the midst of the struggle, Father Zeno silently watched from his kingdom, perceived the magnitude of the conflict. With an imperceptible gesture, he decided to intervene, taking Ewin and Awamo to a mental plane where they could confront the shadow creature in a terrain beyond the physical. In a flash of dazzling light, Awamo and Ewin were transported to an ethereal realm, where the laws of the universe twisted and blurred.
Where are we, Ewin?
We have entered the realm of the mind, a place where reality is molded according to the will of the observer. Here the real battle be fought in the deepest corners of our being.
While Awamo and Ewin were transported to a mental plane by Father Zeno, the shadow creature continued its fierce assault against the warriors of Thraxis Nocturn. Turtles, Bardock, Radits, Frieza, and Cooler, the most powerful warriors on the planet, rose up against the darkness that threatened to consume their home. The shadow creature, imbued with a dark and malevolent aura, hovered over them with an overwhelming presence. He distorted his energy, enveloping everything around him, tearing reality itself apart, and threatening to plunge the planet into an abyss of chaos.
We won't let you destroy our home, shadow monster.
We, the warriors of Thraxis Nocturn, are not afraid of the dark.
We have faced much greater dangers than you, creature.
We will fight together to protect our world.
The shadow creature launched a powerful dark attack towards the warriors, but they responded with relentless ferocity. Turtles, his eyes shining with determination, unleashed a shower of destructive energy, summoning the very essence of nature to channel it in a torrent of energetic attacks. Their powerful attacks cut through the darkness with devastating precision, creating dazzling explosions that lit up the planet's night sky. Bardock, with his fiery ki and indomitable spirit, channeled his energy into a powerful attack. His fists were burning with a searing intensity as he launched a concentrated burst of energy towards the shadow creature, challenging its strength with its own. Bardock's attack resonated with the determination of an invincible warrior, willing to give everything for the protection of his world. Radits and Cooler, united in battle, joined in a coordinated assault on the shadow creature. With fluid and coordinated movements, they launched bursts of energy from different angles, creating a barrier of attacks that surrounded their enemy. The shadow creature struggled to defend itself against the combined onslaught of the two powerful warriors, but its resistance was challenged by the determination and skill of Radits and Cooler. Meanwhile, Frieza, with his golden form glowing with a golden aura, was preparing to unleash his full power against the shadow creature. His eyes shone with a cold and calculated determination as he focused his energy on a devastating attack. With a graceful and precise movement, Frieza unleashed a burst of golden energy that swirled with unparalleled destructive power, threatening to envelop the shadow creature in a mantle of fire and destruction. The battle escalated as the warriors of Thraxis Nocturne bravely faced the darkness that threatened their world. Every blow, every burst of energy echoed through space, creating a spectacle of destruction and determination. Meanwhile, on the mental plane, Awamo and Ewin were engaged in a metaphysical struggle against Father Zeno, an omnipotent entity whose presence radiated an aura of indescribable power. Ewin and Awamo, aware of the gravity of the situation, desperately sought the intervention of Father Zeno to counter the threat of the shadow creature. However, to their surprise, Father Zeno solemnly informed them that they could not intervene directly, since the balance of the universe had to be kept intact even in times of crisis. Awamo and Ewin, although unhappy with Father Zeno's decision, understood the importance of respecting the laws of the cosmos. With determination, they plunged even deeper into the metaphysical struggle, using all their ingenuity and power to find a solution to the crisis unfolding in Thraxis Nocturn. As a confrontation on the mental plane reached its climax, Awamo and Ewin found themselves face to face with the imposing Father Zeno. His figure radiated an indisputable authority, but also an aura of mystery that aroused restlessness in the Ewin and Awamo. Awamo, with his usual serenity, broke the tense silence that filled the ethereal space. "Father Zeno," he began in a firm but respectful tone, "could it be you that... Were you the one who sent the shadow creatures to destroy the planets?" Father Zeno, with an unflappable expression, nodded slowly.
"I did it for the good of the universe,"
he replied calmly. Although his voice resonated with a power that shook Ewin and Awamo, sometimes drastic measures must be taken to preserve the cosmic balance. Ewin, with a flash of indignation in his eyes, could not contain himself anymore. "But that doesn't justify the chaos and destruction you've unleashed!" he exclaimed, his voice echoing with unshakable determination. "There are other ways to restore balance without resorting to violence and darkness." Father Zeno observed the god of destruction and his angel with a penetrating gaze, as if he were evaluating their words and their posture.
"Your compassion is admirable, but sometimes it's necessary to sacrifice a few pieces to save the entire board,"
he said in an enigmatic tone. Awamo and Ewin exchanged determined glances. Although they respected Father Zeno's authority, they knew that they had to follow their own principles and convictions. With courage, they prepared to challenge the omnipotent being in front of them, willing to fight for what they believed was right, even if it meant facing the divinity itself. The air on the mental plane was charged with tension, as Awamo and Ewin prepared to face Father Zeno. Their divine auras collided in a show of titanic forces, as Ewin and Awamo prepared to challenge the supreme being in front of them. Awamo, with his heavenly book in hand, looked at Father Zeno with determination. "Father Zeno, although we respect your authority, we cannot allow you to continue with this destruction," he stated firmly. "We'll fight for peace and balance in the universe, even if it means standing up to you." Father Zeno, with an impenetrable calm, nodded in recognition.
"Your courage is admirable, but you will not be able to stop me,"
he replied calmly.
"The fate of the universe is in my hands, and I'll do whatever it takes to preserve its balance."
Without further words, the battle began with a burst of divine energy. Awamo unleashed his celestial power, summoning rays of light that he threw against Father Zeno, while Ewin threw waves of energy with determination. However, Father Zeno showed impressive resilience, deflecting every attack with surprising ease. The fight went on for what seemed like an eternity, with Ewin and Awamo and Father Zeno trading punches and counterpunches in a cosmic dance of power and skill. Every movement was imbued with a supernatural force, while the mental plane trembled under the intensity of his conflict. However, as time passed, Awamo and Ewin began to feel the weight of their opponent. Father Zeno's power was overwhelming, and every blow Ewin and Awamo received weakened them even more. Despite their bravery and determination, it seemed that they were fighting against an impossible-to-defeat force. Awamo, panting from the effort, looked at his companion with concern. "Ewin, we can't go on like this," he admitted sincerely. "Father Zeno's too powerful for us." Ewin, though exhausted, nodded determinedly.
"I know, Awamo, but we can't give up," he replied firmly. "We must keep fighting for Thraxis Nocturn and for all beings in the universe."
With a final effort, Ewin and Awamo gathered their forces to launch a final attack against Father Zeno. However, the Supreme Being easily overcame them, deflecting his power with a contemptuous gesture. Father Zeno looked at Ewin and Awamo with a mixture of admiration and regret.
"They're brave, but their struggle has come to an end," he solemnly declared. "Accept your defeat and let fate take its course."
With a resigned sigh, Awamo and Ewin surrendered to Father Zeno's overwhelming strength. Although they had fought with all their heart and soul, they knew that they could not defeat the Supreme Being in front of them. Father Zeno, with a compassionate look, looked at them benevolently.
"Rest now, my brave creations,"
he said gently.
"His bravery will be remembered throughout the universe."
Father Zeno, with an unflappable expression, extended his hand towards the exhausted Ewin and Awamo. In an instant, a powerful burst of cosmic energy emanated from his palm, enveloping Awamo and Ewin in a dazzling radiance. Ewin and Awamo screamed in agony as Father Zeno's energy enveloped them, feeling every fiber of their being torn apart under the relentless power of the Supreme Being. Their bodies, imbued with divine light, were slowly consumed in the maelstrom of energy, fading little by little into the ether of the cosmos. Awamo and Ewin fought with all their might to resist the cataclysm that engulfed them, but it was useless. The power of Father Zeno surpassed them in every respect, and they were soon reduced to mere shadows of their former glory. With the last gasp, Awamo and Ewin exploded, leaving body parts all over the mental space, dissipating into cosmic nothingness while their essence merged with the universe. At that precise moment, we return to the earthly plane, where the fierce battle between the most powerful warriors of Thraxis Nocturn and the shadow creature was reaching its climax. Bursts of energy and thunderous crashes echoed in the air, while Bardock, in the middle of the combat, glimpsed Awamo and Ewin, who were lying unconscious on the ground, enveloped in a halo of divine light. Surprise and dismay were reflected on the faces of the warriors, who momentarily stopped their frantic struggle upon realizing the situation. Bardock, his eyes wide open, watched in horror as Ewin and Awamo's bodies began to shake, emanating flashes of energy that increased in intensity with each passing second. A tense silence enveloped the battlefield as everyone watched the scene in disbelief. Suddenly, a heart-rending explosion echoed in the air, making the earth and sky tremble. Bardock and the other warriors were thrown back by the force of the explosion, protecting themselves as best as they could from the shockwave that was spreading around them. When the afterglow of the explosion faded, what was left was a smoking crater where Awamo and Ewin once stood. The warriors slowly stood up, stunned by what they had just witnessed, as the shadow creature, now shrouded in an even denser darkness, prepared to lash out again before the protecting warriors of Thraxis Nocturn. Bardock clenched his fist determinedly, feeling a mixture of sadness and fury burn inside him. He knew that they must continue the fight, not only for the honor of their planet, but also in memory of the brave fallen guardians. With a war cry, the warriors rushed into combat again, determined to avenge the loss of their comrades and protect their home from the darkness that threatened to consume it. After the devastating explosion that killed Awamo and Ewin, the warriors of Thraxis Nocturn gathered in a circle, still stunned by what had happened. Bardock, with a gloomy look, broke the silence with a grave tone.
Damn it! What the hell just happened?
Turles, frowning, shook his head in disbelief.
I don't know, but we can't let this sacrifice be in vain. We need to get this thing over with once and for all.
Radits, with his fist clenched, furiously nodded determinedly.
You're right! Awamo and Ewin gave their lives to protect this planet. We cannot disappoint his sacrifice.
Frieza, with his usual impassive expression, spoke in a cold and calculated tone.
The death of Ewin and Awamo should not be in vain. We must unite and concentrate our efforts on defeating that shadow creature.
Cooler, with a serious look, added determinedly,
We are facing an unprecedented threat, but if we fight together, we can overcome it. Let's do it for the honor of Thraxis Nocturn, for the legacy of our brave comrades.
Bardock nodded solemnly, his jaw tense with determination.
So, are we in agreement? We'll fight together until the end and avenge our fallen.
The warriors nodded in agreement, sharing a look of determination and unity. With their hearts filled with determination, they prepared to face once again the darkness that threatened their home. As the warriors prepared to face the shadow creature again, a fierce determination burned in their hearts. Turles, feeling the energy of the battle, was the first to unleash his power.
It's time to show them our true power!
With a powerful scream, Turles wrapped himself in an aura of energy. Her dark hair turned golden and her eyes shone with a dazzling intensity. The energy of the Super Saiyan emanated from his being, infusing strength and determination into his entire being. Radits, inspired by Turtle's example, followed suit.
It's my turn!
With a burst of energy, Radits' dark hair bristled, turning golden just like his brother's. His ki increased dramatically, emanating a commanding presence that filled the battlefield. Seeing the transformation of his comrades, Bardock also joined the fray.
I can't stay behind!
With a battle cry, Bardock unleashed all his power. His fiery aura enveloped him in a higher golden glow. His energy increased to astronomical levels, propelling him towards a higher form of his race. Frieza, observing the transformation of the Saiyans, did not want to be left behind.
The time has come to show my true strength.
With a burst of energy, Frieza transformed into his golden form of maximum power similar to 100% full power, his body radiating a golden glow. His power multiplied several times, turning him into an unstoppable force that rivaled the sunlight itself. Cooler, feeling the energy surrounding him, decided to join the fight with all his might.
It's time to unleash my true potential.
With a flash of energy, Cooler transformed into his metallic form, his body glowing with a metallic luster. His stamina and power increased exponentially, making him an invincible force that would defy even the gods. With their transformations complete, the warriors of Thraxis Nocturn once again faced the shadow creature with renewed determination and a power that eclipsed any darkness. In the skies of Thraxis Nocturne, the battle continued as the transformed warriors faced off against the shadow creature, a being whose dark power threatened to devour everything in its path. With each of the warriors unleashing their full potential, the cosmos trembled under the force of their epic showdown. The golden aura of Turles, Radits, and Bardock, combined with the imposing presence of Frieza and Cooler in their transformed forms, formed a dazzling spectacle in the night sky. Energy flickered around them, lighting up the darkness with golden and silver flashes as they prepared for the final showdown. The shadow creature, sensing his power of his adversaries, emanated a rumbling roar that echoed through the planet. His dark form seemed to twist and distort as he prepared for the final assault.
It's time to end this once and for all!
With a battle cry, Turles lunged forward. His speed increased by his Super Saiyan form. The shadow creature responded with an onslaught of dark energy, but Turles nimbly dodged it, moving with astonishing speed across the battlefield. Raditz and Bardock followed Turtle's lead, attacking with relentless ferocity. Their blows echoed in the air, each one charged with the strength of his determination and the desire to protect his home planet. The shadow creature's attacks were swift and fierce, but the Saiyans deftly dodged them, responding with even more powerful blows.
Father, let's keep the pressure on this thing. We can't let it destroy our home.
I know. We're not going to allow this monster to destroy Thraxis Nocturne. Our power is more than enough to end it.
That's right. You taught us to fight with courage and determination. We'll not back down before this creature is destroyed.
Take this!
The shadow creature dodged Bardock's attack with agility, launching its counterattack with its sharp claws.
Careful, Father!
Don't worry about me. I'm more than ready for this.
And take this too!
Raditz' attacks hit the shadow creature hard, but it quickly recovered and counterattacked with a surge of dark energy.
Damn, this thing's tougher than I thought.
We can't give up now. Our planet depends on us.
You're right. Let's show you what we're capable of.
The two Saiyans launched into the air attack once more with renewed determination. Their blows echoed in the air, each one charged with the strength of his determination and the desire to protect his home planet. The shadow creature, although resistant, was overcome by the ferocity of the Saiyans. Turles, with his golden hair flowing behind him, launched a quick series of precise punches, each one carrying with it the power of his transformation into Super Saiyan. His movements were fluid and graceful, as if he were dancing around his enemy, dodging every attack with impressive agility.
There's no escape for you, monster! Your darkness can't compete with the power of the Super Saiyan!
With a battle cry, Turles lashed out at the shadow creature, striking with overwhelming force. Every blow resounded in the air, shaking the battlefield with its power. The shadow creature was fighting desperately, but its attacks seemed weak compared to Turles' ferocity. Meanwhile, Raditz and Bardock were continuing their assault on the shadow creature. Their attacks were coordinated and precise, each complementing the other in a deadly dance of destruction. The shadow creature found itself increasingly cornered, unable to cope with the combined might of the Saiyans.
Come on, Father. We know we can stop this thing.
I know, Raditz. Let's keep pushing until there's nothing left of this creature.
With renewed determination, the two Saiyans redoubled their efforts, launching a series of devastating attacks against the shadow creature. Each blow echoed in the air, carrying with it the weight of his determination and the desire to protect his home planet. Frieza and Cooler were watching the battle intently from a distance, their cold gazes evaluating every move of the Saiyans and the shadow creature. As the fight intensified, they noticed with increasing concern how the shadow creature began to gain more strength, releasing a dark energy that threatened to destabilize this situation.
It seems that the things are getting more complicated than I expected.
Yes, the shadow creature seems to be gaining ground. If we don't intervene soon, we could face an even more dangerous situation.
With a cold determination, Frieza and Cooler exchanged a glance before heading towards the battlefield. His presence made itself felt immediately. His overbearing aura flooded the area as they prepared to face the shadow creature.
Looks like we need to intervene before things get out of control.
I agree. We cannot allow the shadow creature to wreak more havoc on our planet.
With surprising speed, Frieza and Cooler launched into action, deploying all the power in an effort to contain the shadow creature. His attacks were precise and devastating, each blow carrying with it the weight of his determination and the desire to protect his home. However, the shadow creature was not going to be easily defeated. With a thunderous scream, he split into 4 separate beings, each one darker and more malevolent than the last. The earth trembled under their weight as they advanced towards the warriors, ready to unleash their fury on them.
It seems that this creature has more tricks up its sleeve than we thought.
It doesn't matter. We have our own tricks.
Well guys, this is all for today's chapter. I hope you liked it and it was to your liking. Now don't forget to leave your powerful like Supreme God level, comment and subscribe. Now without further ado, see you in a new video. Until next time.